Welcome back everyone to SlashGame. EV back with another video, and as the title suggests, it's basically a trying to make a short video. Something that I've been working on for some time now, and it's me basically looking back at Final Fantasy 16. Now, in my first video that I've put out, which is the review, I went very clean. Right, I literally expressed how I felt about the game at the time when I played it, and overall it's a near enough a 5 out of 5 game, because it's a good game. It just is a good game in its own merits. If Final Fantasy 16 would have been called anything else, I would say that it has a strong case to be a great game without it being called Final Fantasy. So if it had been called anything else, I think it would have made a name for itself. It would have been maybe a new IP for Square Enix to take another direction. They've tried with other games, like I can't remember the name of that game with that girl in it, but that flied around and all the magic, and that didn't work out, unfortunately. But this game feels like it could have been its own thing, and the reason why I want to say that, or why I say that, is because in the end of the day, Final Fantasy, its fans, its players, the people that grew up and made the franchise to what it is today, gave it, it's big push to becoming one of the leading franchises in video game history. It basically, we have an expectation. Every gamer has an expectation around what Final Fantasy is meant to be like, but we very big fans who literally will stop everything else they're doing. We might be playing any other game, or there might be a life event going on, but when a Final Fantasy game is due to come out, we go, by the way, guys, family, friends, between this month and this month, don't bother calling me. I'm playing the next Final Fantasy, because that's what tends to happen. It's like when Dragon Quest comes out in Japan, people stop going to work. So it's kind of like it's basically an important game, and Final Fantasy 16 had that going for it. It had this already momentum going for it because, well, it's a numbered Final Fantasy, so that's already 50% of the target audience zoning in, because it's like, oh wow, yeah, the next numbered Final Fantasy is coming out. Now, what you got to realise is that this is I guess the next game after Final Fantasy 15, obviously, the clue's in the title. And Final Fantasy 15 didn't really meet the expectations of the fans, and it was a game for everyone to play, whatnot, yeah? So there was a certain part of me that wanted this to be better, to go and do things right, to be the Final Fantasy that everyone expected it to be. And for everything it does, tries to do right, or tries to subvert your expectations, that's the biggest one. It kind of tries too hard, and it stops being Final Fantasy. This is the problem. So there's an actual issue. So there's a formula that is called Final Fantasy, and it's what Square Enix has pushed and given us since Final Fantasy 1 all the way up to, dare I say, Final Fantasy 13. Part 1, Part 2 as well, I guess. Part 3, not so much, but still a great game in its own right. I'll do a video around my favourite Final Fantasies, or in the tier list, but at the moment I'm just discussing the fact that Final Fantasy does have a formula. It's something it's in the skeleton, it's in all the wiring of how these games are brought up, and I think that Yoshi P, coming fresh off the back of his success with Final Fantasy 14, I may speak to a lot of people. We had a lot of faith in this guy, because he is a competent producer and director. He tell you what, he didn't miss a beat. He went for it. He had a vision and he went for it, and that's fine. And I think everyone put his faith in him. And I don't think Final Fantasy 16 was a commercial failure in any way. Square might think so, but it did sell millions of copies, so I'm sure it's done all right. So ultimately, what I'm trying to get at is that there's this formula, and then there's Yoshi P and his team, and they come in and they come all guns blazing. but they wanted to give us a fresh take. So in some of the interviews, Yoshi P said that Final Fantasy is kind of symbolic of a sort of aging franchise. You know, it's the formula is probably not something that today's audience, today's client wants to play, because today's client wants snappy, quick, fast-paced. You know, they want to feel that the game giving them that reward a lot quicker and maybe a little bit more often, otherwise they might lose interest. So they went for an action sort of battle system, and they stripped Final Fantasy down to its bare bones and left what they thought was the core components to make an important and memorable game. Now, story, buckets of story, it's in there, there's lots. If anything, I would advise playing this game for that story. It is a good story, just much like any other Final Fantasy. Keeps you going, keeps you intrigued, what's going on, there's a bit of mystery, a bit of twists and turns. Get to the end. I'm trying not to obviously go into spoilers, but it's just, you know, another so-called god who gets deplatformed by the main hero. It does, you know, the combat is fast-paced, as I said, so that's 2. And the presentation, yeah, it's definitely probably one of the best good-looking games I've seen on PS5, bar none. It's a beautiful game. Now, if that's the 3 things that Yoshi P brought with Final Fantasy 16, then what did he take out? So this is it. This is what it comes down to. Is the battle system maybe could have remained some sort of hybrid like Final Fantasy 7 remake did, like even a more. It could have been a little bit more actiony than Final Fantasy 7, but Square Enix has given this battle system of ATBs and turn-based all these Final Fantasies before, so there's an expectation that that's going to carry on. That's what the fans kind of want, and I think by giving us like a Devil May Cry-ish battle system, you've kind of alienated already so many people that don't care too much about fast-paced gameplay or action-based or, you know, beat-em-up slashers. You know, there's just, it's difficult if you're going to do that. Then your battle system has to be perfect, and while it was entertaining and good, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfect. And that being said, it's kind of lost for words, but previous battle systems, they were rewarding. They were hard. They lasted a little bit longer. You know, you had to press your attack and it would attack and magic and whatever, but there was like a baseline strategy behind each battle, and it just built the game up from there. It just made things feel so good. Every time, every enemy, every battle that would end, you'd be like, oh wow, this, yeah, okay, I'm getting there, okay. And you felt reward through those battles, right? And I don't feel that in Final Fantasy 16. I don't feel rewarded. Don't get much from them, to be fair, apart from ability points or whatever. You go, if you keep going, then your party. It's a single player game, pretty much. It is a single player game, but your party, you know, that bands together, that you meet as you go through your story, through your adventure, and you fight together. That means something. And Yoshi P, I guess, maybe someone else, but involved in that sort of decision making where he stopped. He just took them out. Just one party, one person, main character, and that's it. The whole game is centered around this one character. It's a lot to put on that guy's shoulders, you know. Clive has to be a very interesting character to carry a game for 70 plus hours, right? Okay, with New Game Plus, whatever. And not only that, but killing off some of the best characters is a big no-no. You don't do that, pretty much. If your character's doing well in the game and he's keeping the story interesting and is carrying things along a little bit for the main character, the last thing you do is 25% into the game, you don't kill one of your best characters. That's it. Because the others were good, but everyone just starts dying. even the bad guys, the good guys, like people just start dying left, right, and centre because Clive is going through his journey, so it's killing everyone off. And I think that you kind of as you progress through the game, you get left with less and less and less, and I think it doesn't bode well for the pacing of the game, for the way the story is being told. By the time two main characters kind of meet, after a long time, that one's been searching for the other, and we're talking years, because that's what the game, it spans Clive's teenage years and then he's kind of in his 20s and then into his 30s. By the time you meet these people, it's like it doesn't pay off the way you expect it to, which is really annoying. So there's a lot there, there's a lot of story there and all that, but it's not the pacing, because the pacing's off and the way it's been told is off. It doesn't pay out off in the way, or it doesn't pay out the way the developers thought it would. And maybe they were aware of it, I don't know. It feels very obvious to me, I'd say. But anyway, the battle system in itself, or the general system of the game, doesn't pay off. There's no... the weapons and all that, they're all just slightly better upgrades of the one before. So every time you defeat a boss or a hunt, you get materials, you go and develop the weapon, and it goes up a couple of notches. But there's no elemental weaknesses, there's no specific things there to really play on. I guess the icons are the elemental sort of side of the combat system, but it's very much to be desired. It leaves a lot to be desired. I don't think that there's anything there to really sink your teeth in and to develop like a build that means, you can develop a good fun way to play, but it gets old really quick, and it's difficult. I can imagine this probably the most difficult thing is to make a game like Final Fantasy, to live up to that name, to that brand. But Yoshi P and team just left too much out. They even allude to an airship at one point. It's like, where's my airship? Give me that freedom to go and explore this world and find secret hidden stuff under the sea and in the sky and in the top of a mountain. Give me chocobos that travel through rivers. Just give me something that opens up the game. It's just these zones, and there's nothing in them apart from a hunt or two. If sometimes you might run into them by mistake, but just depending on where you are in a game. But there's nothing to explore. It's not the game that keeps on giving. This is it. And when you're coming off the back of Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is by itself a linear game for all intents and purposes, it's designed in a way to give you a lot to do, and it feels that way. Just the battle arena in itself and the virtual reality arena, like, it just gives you a lot to do, a lot of reasons to come back and play. And when I finished 16, and I still feel that way, I just got this gaping hole. Like, I can't go back to it. I was like, I'm gonna get the platinum and shelf it. So it's up there. I just didn't. It just didn't grab me. And the only reason I feel that now, and even towards the end of finishing and playing that game, was because you kind of look back and you realise what you've played, and it has barely anything of what you enjoy in a Final Fantasy game. I don't know, I just feel like, it's very difficult to put into words, because it's almost like it's a feeling, isn't it? Like, what you think is it's my opinion of what I expect to have in a Final Fantasy game. But if you're going to ask me, what's the Final Fantasy? There's so many things, I can't even really put it into words properly. But yeah, it was lacking. Let's just say it was lacking. Beautiful game, great soundtrack. Soken's awesome. Great presentation, looks beautiful. The battle system is fun for what it is, but it is bare bones. The crafting system's crap. There's nothing really to do apart from, like I said, upgrade to another bit of defense, another bit of attack, and that's it. There's just nothing there to really sink your teeth in. That's it. The leveling up system and the sort of, like, let's call it the sphere grid, is not pointless. It's not like the sphere grid, like I mentioned it, the sphere grid was amazing. You know, each character had a sphere grid, and it kind of tells the story of their development, and you can literally adjust it and go and level up your characters alongside each other, and it just felt good to do. By the end of completing the sphere grid for one character, let alone all of them, you felt like a superpower, like you could literally kill anything. But it allowed for a bit of customization to a certain point, up until you start unlocking, that's Final Fantasy X, up until you start unlocking all the keys. But yeah, 16 had none of that. It's just a bunch of abilities for each icon, and that's it. And as you just find the ability that kills the things quicker, and you use that on repeat, or a set, a rotation. There you go. So yeah, the problem, in conclusion, the problem with Final Fantasy 16 is exactly that. It's called Final Fantasy, and it shouldn't be. It just shouldn't be. It's missing too much for it to be called a Final Fantasy. And I think that, I hope that this isn't Final Fantasy what it's going to be going forward. I really hope not. I hope Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth's probably going to redeem 16 in the long run. But it just, come on, guys. Like, don't just give me, you know, I don't think Yoshi P's right in saying that it's an aging franchise. You know, there's even franchises out there like Yakuza, who went Yakuza 7, total turn-based game, amazing. Persona 5 and the Persona series, turn-based, amazing. If anything, we lack more turn-based games. We don't have that many. And turn-based is just a way of saying, like, even the active time battle systems would be fine. Final Fantasy 7 Remake again has done a pitch perfect battle system. It's just perfection. Okay, it goes both action and ATB, and it marries the strategy behind that battle system is insane, to the point where people do things I didn't even know to be possible. It's brilliant. The material system's brilliant. So something along the lines of that, you know. I know Final Fantasy has been evolving over time, and it's always been an evolutionary sort of game. It always tries to evolve from the next and the next iteration, but what Final Fantasy 16 did was regress. It didn't really evolve. It tried to evolve. It's trying to evolve with this battle system, but that's not what we call evolution. That's just a Devil May Cry game with RPG elements, okay? Slight RPG elements, if you want to call them that. So yeah, Square Enix, if you ever watch this video, I love you to bits. You guys have been part of my life for most of my life, to be fair. So if you can, please, when obviously remakes come out, when Rebirth comes out, that's it. I'm sure I'm on media blackout for Rebirth, and I know there's a lot of things out there going on and some controversial shit, but learn a little, take the good things from that. That's all I say. If the next Final Fantasy 17, or just reboot the series, I don't know, don't call it a numbered game anymore. Just learn from your successes, please, and give us more of that. It's very simple. Don't fix something that isn't broken. You want to innovate, brilliant. Yoshi P had his chance. There you go. That was it. And I think it just really showed how divisive the fan base really is, because there's people that probably will defend it till they die, and then there's people like me, and I'd say the difference between me and them is age. They're probably the younger generation and the newcomers to the series, and I'm the guy that's played everything else before, leading up to it. So I think there's still a lot of us out here. We were the ones that gave you commercial success up till now, so I think we still deserve your attention and not respect, because I don't care if you respect me or not, but attention when it comes to making your games. And please, may the next one be a banger, a proper good game. Anyway guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed my video. This is my second proper video with a camera. Still trying to get used to it, just looking over. Yeah, I'm enjoying this though. Yeah, it's really good to get things off my chest. Let me know if you guys, what you think about 16 and what was the major what was the worst things you guys thought about the game, or the best things for that matter? Do you defend it? Do you love the game? Is it the best game you've ever played, or the best Final Fantasy game that you've ever played? Yeah, let us know in the comments below. Stay friendly, stay safe. Happy gaming. Please like, share and subscribe. That's very important. Please, I'd like to get 100 subscribers by the end of this year. That would be lovely. Have a good one. See you next time.